Hello everyone, so today we are going to be doing introduction to basic or Visual Studio. Okay, so I'm just going to open the application. Okay, there it is, Microsoft Visual Studio. I'm going to be using 2010. Okay, so this is the start page. Open project. You can open a project already built or the one which is still in building stage. New project. I'm going to open a new project. Okay, now this panel shows up. It's just about you set the preferences of the project you want to build. I'm going to be using Windows Forms application. Okay, so the name here, you just type in the name which you want to give to the project which you are building. Now the program. Okay, I'm going to entitle mine project or introduction1. So this is the design view of your project. So initially you have this little form with nothing on it, which you can either expand vertical or horizontal or both, depending on the tools which you want to put on your form. So on my left side we have what we call a toolbox. Now here we have different tools which we would be using to program for performing different tasks. Okay, so text box, a timer, to strip, or the above. They all work just depending on the task which you have to solve. Okay, which you want to perform. On the upper right side, we have the Solution Explorer. Here just shows the components of a project. Example, this one is introduction1. My projects are just the few settings on my project. I'm just going to click there. Here you can just the assembly route, most of it you can choose the icon of your project, and then this is the startup form, the form which runs first when you click debug. Okay, so I'm just going to close it. Now we have on the lower right side we have this properties section. Now if you click any component, example I just click the form 1, so I'm being shown the properties of form 1. Now this text here, which reads form 1 is the text which is found here. So if you want to change it, you just erase here, then you type in whatever text you want to replace it with. Okay, so I'm just going to replace mine with introduction1. Okay, now just click on the form so that you can refresh. So the size just the size of the form. Okay, we have what we call for color. For color is just you'll be setting the color of example if I were to set it initially set to black, they are identified as a control text. If you were to put a label after changing it to blue, the label would initially be turned to blue. Okay, now we have a font. This is where you choose different types of font you want to use, the font style you would like to view it, the size you want to underline it, strike out. You can do a lot here. Okay, moving upwards, we have a back color. This is the back color of the form. Initially it is set to control, but you can change it to whatever color you would like depending on your design skills. Okay, now this is the name. This name in brackets is the name form 1. It's how the computer identifies this form. Okay, you can either change it or leave it like that, still okay, but it is actually for the computer to use. Then but when you'll be working with more larger forms, you can just change it, example to main form, employees form. It will make easy for you when you're programming, because you'll be actually knowing which form you want to open. So if it is employee form, you can just in your code you can just type employee form, then you put the code which you want to perform, unlike claiming that employee form is form 1. So yes, when there is need to change it, you can change it. So I'm just going to change this one to introduction. I'm just going to leave it to intro. Okay, so here this is the start debugging. This is where you start running your program. Okay, so initially we haven't done anything to this form, but I'm just going to run it for you to see. The shortcut of it is F5. I'm just going to press there. Okay, so at the moment our project is running well. As you can see, we have nothing on it. It's just a little Windows panel which you can expand, minimize, maximize, and also close. Okay, so when you want to code now, because in programming you actually have to code, you just have to double click. I'm just going to double click here on the form. Now as soon as you do that, you are taken to where you can code. Let's just talk about the code. As you can see, we have a public class intro. Intro is the form. Okay, the name of my form, the public class intro. Then we have this private sub intro load. This is the form which is being referred to. So whatever code is written here is going to run as soon as this form opens. Okay, so that means if I'm going to be having any code within the form, I have to write it here so that the computer knows that this code is meant for that form. If I would have another component, I'll be given another private sub depending on what I have picked, an end sub. Okay, so now let's get into practice. Let's write our first program. So our first program, a user is going to enter his or her name. Then you're going to click a button show. Then the computer is going to output hello plus the name. So if you were to enter the name John, the computer is going to output hello John. Okay, so by just what I've said, you should have the ability to know what tools to use. So I said a user is going to enter his or her name. So it is more reasonable if we could find an instruction which reads enter name. Okay, so I'm just going to pick a label. Then the text here, remember the properties. If you want to edit on something, you click on it, then you come to the properties section. Initially it reads label 1. You want to change it to enter name. Okay, now enter name. So after the instruction, we need somewhere for the user to actually enter his or her name. So text boxes, they are used for either input or output. So now we have to find a text box. Okay, here it is. Okay, so now this is where the user will enter his or her name. Now, after entering the name, we need something to perform the action which tells the computer that now it's time to run. Okay, so we're going to put a button. Okay, now initially set to button 1, so you can just change it. I'm just going to change mine to show. Okay, then remember you can change the size of this depending on the one which actually fits. Okay, sure. Now we also want, I said the computer should display hello plus the name, which means if the user enters John here, if we're going to click show, then the computer should output hello John. Means we need somewhere where computer can actually get to output that. So we need a text box again. Okay, now this is text box 1. For this convenience of your text box, you could actually change them to an easy name, which would make you programming easy for you. I'm going to change mine to txt name. Okay, then this one is the part where the computer shows, so I'm just going to change it to txt Sure. However, if you were to actually, on the name section, if you actually to name yours John or Peter, it's still fine. It will run as long as you actually write John Peter in your code, or even one single letter like R. It's still okay. But for the sake of, if you are running a bigger project, it's important that you know which you actually name it to according to its function, so that when you're programming it makes it easy for you. If you were to write txt show txt name, you'd actually know that at this stage I am doing this, so I need this text box. Okay, so after doing all this, since we are going to be clicking here, that is going to be where the action is going to be, so we are going to be coding on this pattern. Okay, so I've just double clicked it. That was long method. You can double click it, or you can just select it and come to view code, which is a second. The view code just takes you to viewing the code of the whole project. But if you want to specifically initiate a code on a certain component, you just double click on it. Okay, so now we have private sub. Remember, this is where the code from the form right now. This is where we are writing the code from the pattern. Okay, so one important thing which you need to do is need to know the variables you are working with. Example, we are working with name. Name is string, as in that's text for the computer is string, and it. So here I'm just going to dim, that's like declaring. I'm just going to entitle A as string. Okay, so now the computer knows, as you can see on the error list, is here putting the computer, if it does not understand anything or is there anything it did wrong, it will be telling you. It knows that I have declared A as string, but it doesn't know what A is, so you can just allocate A as equals to txt name the text. Okay, so after doing that, you see the warning is disappeared. Actually is noticed. Okay, I got it. Now what do you want after entering the name? After entering A, we want txt show dot text to output. Now equals means whatever I'm going to write next is what it's going to output, so it's what it's going to do. Okay, so I'm just going to put brackets. Then if you want to write text which is not a code, you use these columns. Okay, so I want it to output yellow. Okay, then there are many ways of combining the text yellow and the text above. So the moment I'm going to combine it with the plus sign, it still works. Plus A, A dot A, the variable. The computer knows what A is. Okay, so this is our first program. Now let's test it. By test it, I mean let's actually run it. Okay, enter your name. I'm going to enter row. Now the computer reads hello row, but we need a space between hello and row so that we can actually see them as two words. Okay, so I'm just going to stop it. There are also other ways of adding that space. In the meantime, I'm just going to use this one. I can add space here. Okay, other ways we are going to learn about them as we go on. So now if I were to run it again, oh, I forgot to enter my name. Yellow row. Now it is spaced nice and neat. So it's our first program. Now we want to change where we output our text. I want the computer to greet me on a message box, not on a text box. So I'm just going to delete here. Okay, MSG box, that's one of the styles where you can summon a message box. Okay, now here MSG box like that. So I'm just going to run, enter your name. Sure, introduction1, it just takes on the name of your project, yellow row. Okay, simple. If you were to enter another different name like Tafazwa, get yellow Tafazwa. Okay, so for introduction1, everything is all set. Have a good day.